Hey friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. So I hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe for more Reddit content, and let's get into it, guys. Trash collector wants to use my yard to store their goodies. So with summer around the corner, my husband and I have been cleaning up our yard and setting things out on the side of the road. Next week is our town's big trash week, so everyone in our neighborhood has been setting stuff out. It isn't just our house that has unwanted clutter on the side of the road. Now, while my husband and I were outside, a person from around our place but not our neighborhood was walking their dog around the block. We kinda live in the woods, so our little neighborhood attracts a lot of people from around our place that can't take a walk anywhere else. Lack of safe spaces to walk that isn't directly in the forest. As she sees my husband and I, she starts a conversation with us about the renovations we recently did on our front yard. All is going well when she notices a small iron and wood bench we had set out for the city to pick up. She asks us if we're giving it away, and I say yes, and that we were also going to put out a larger one that she could take if she wanted. Giddily, she grabs the small bench and puts it back in our driveway. She says she'll be back soon to come pick it up with her friend in the next 2 days. I am already a little irked, because trash from the side of the road is usually a first come first serve type of situation. I put it there because I don't want it in my yard. My husband and I figure it'll be fine. Anyways, the pickup isn't until next week. Well, this lady comes back with her friend the same evening to pick up the smaller bench, and has my husband help her bring out our other bench into our driveway. Uh-oh, it doesn't fit into her car, so she leaves it once again in our driveway. I'm inside while this is happening, so I don't really know what's going on. Next thing my husband knows, she goes to our front door neighbors and grabs 5 outdoor dining chairs and puts them in our yard. And she says she'll be back next week to pick them up, and off she goes. My husband is very conflict averse, so he didn't say anything and just went back to mowing the lawn. When I noticed, I got upset. I'm 37 weeks pregnant and very into nesting and getting stuff done. I worked all week to clean my yard, and this lady feels like she can just use our yard without asking to hoard her trash treasure? Nah. I grabbed all of the trash including our bench and put everything back by the road, and I put my neighbor's trash back where it was. I was just so shocked by how comfortable she was to start storing stuff in our driveways without even asking. We aren't even neighbors. Part of me hopes someone else comes and picks everything up. Work my hours or we'll find someone who will. So there I was, working at a mid-size IT firm as a software developer. My team had always been pretty laid back, focusing on results rather than the exact hours we were glued to our desks. Our projects were delivered on time, our clients were happy, and our team morale was high. That is, until we got a new project manager. Let's call him Dave. Dave was fresh from a highly regimented corporate background and had ideas about proper workplace management, which basically meant micromanaging everything. He'd schedule unnecessary daily status meetings, demanded we fill out hourly work logs, and insisted that everyone strictly adhere to 9 to 5 office hours with minimal breaks. One day during one of his infamous efficiency crackdowns, he sent out an email with a new policy that all coding must be done strictly within office hours to ensure collaboration and supervision. This was ridiculous because creative work like coding often requires flexible hours for maximum productivity. But Dave was adamant, and he ended his email with, "If you think you can find a loophole, think again. Follow the rules or we'll find someone who will." Challenge accepted, Dave. I decided to comply, meticulously. I coded strictly between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., not a minute earlier, not a second later. If I encountered a bug or was in the middle of a complex piece of code, too bad. 5 p.m. means the end, no matter what. My teammates, fed up with being treated like school children, followed my lead. The results were predictable. Projects that usually took a couple of weeks started dragging on. Tasks that we could have completed in days with a bit of overtime took much longer because we couldn't capitalize on the bursts of late afternoon productivity we were used to. Our workflow was severely disrupted and the quality of our work started to deteriorate. Dave noticed, of course. He had to answer to upper management for the sudden drop in productivity and lack of commitment, which he knew was a result of our dissatisfaction with his new policy. When upper management called for an impromptu Zoom meeting with the entire team at 4:30 p.m. to address the ongoing project delays, the entire team logged in to explain our situation. In the meeting, Dave spent half an hour shifting blame and berating individual team members. He didn't even mention the 9-to-5 policy that had led to the whole situation. As the clock ticked towards 5 p.m., the tension in the virtual room was palpable, and our team hatched a plan over text. Right on cue, as the clock struck 5 p.m., one of the employees spoke up. In compliance with Dave's 9-to-5 rule, we must log off now. Without missing a beat, every team member clicked leave meeting, leaving a stunned Dave to face the executives alone. This abrupt mass exit highlighted the impracticality of Dave's rigid policy, making it clear to the executives that change was necessary. The incident, quickly dubbed as the 5 o'clock Zoom exodus, led to another meeting, where Dave was publicly admonished and instructed to abolish his strict rules in favor of more flexibility. And as for me and my team, we made sure to celebrate our little victory with a well-deserved happy hour. After 5 p.m., of course. Giving CPR to my friend when his wife said I don't have consent. So to give context and background to the situation, I, a 26-year-old male, have been trained for CPR through almost every period of my life, and fortunately never had to use it until I learned CPR throughout Boy Scouts, high school health class, personal trainer classes, and previous work training. I work at a convenience store and experience many regulars. This regular, for example, is a man that we will call Jerry. Jerry is roughly in his late 40s or early 50s, and we happen to always have 10 to 15 conversations on random stuff we bond over. He is also an Eagle Scout, a father, and has a daughter who is about to get married and is over the moon about it. A Star Wars fan and loves sports, so there is something we will always talk about. I love Jerry. He's an awesome guy who doesn't talk about work a lot, which I completely understand and respect. 1 week ago, Jerry came into the store with his wife, whom I've met on occasion with him shopping. She's not really a social person, which my wife isn't either, so I understand. I was in the other aisle when I started to hear heavy breathing at the counter, followed by a loud crash and panicked scream. I rushed over to see Jerry on the floor unconscious. I quickly run over and get down to assess him. He wasn't breathing or responding to me. I look over at my boss, who we will call Misty, to call 911 and grab the AED, automated external defibrillator. I began to unbutton Jerry's shirt to start compression and get him ready for if we need to use the AED. During this, his wife looks at me and said, "Are you really going to perform CPR? I'd rather have a medical professional than you." I didn't even comprehend this comment and just kept continuing. What seemed like 5 minutes of doing compressions was only 1 minute. The wife kept on yelling at me, saying, "You don't have the right to touch him without my permission or consent." I ignore her and keep doing compressions and mouth to mouth. That's when I start to hear sirens in the distance, and since we lived in a super small town, it was fortunate to have a hospital close by. The sirens are getting closer. Suddenly, the ambulance was right at our door and paramedics rushed in with a stretcher. One of the paramedics asked if they could take over after my round of compressions. Of course, I agree, and we had a smooth transfer of compressions. The wife was staring daggers into my soul. I was put into a room to calm down, and after 10 or so minutes, I hear the wife yell, "I'm going to press charges against that guy. He could have killed my husband." My boss tells me to go home after writing a report and taking a break for a while. Right now I'm at home, scared, and waiting for that phone call from a lawyer or someone. I know what I did was right, but I feel like I actually did do something wrong with going against the wife's consent. Note, I did find out Jerry lived and did in fact have a massive heart attack. I am hoping to go visit him soon. And someone in the comments who claims to be a lawyer and is also trained in CPR says, "If you are trained and did not engage in gross negligence in your administration of CPR, any lawsuit would be unlikely to see the light of day. There are Good Samaritan laws designed to protect people who perform CPR in the US, and if you are trained and were not negligent in your performance of CPR, you probably will not have to worry about getting sued. If she actually can find a lawyer to take the case and they file suit, then discuss it with an attorney in your area. But she was probably stressed and scared and lashing out." Entitled Drone Owner. There's a guy who bought a drone a few years ago. High-end drone, which he learned how to fly. Not a problem until he started to fly it over all his neighbors' houses, and lowering it to look in their windows. People call the mayor, the police, etc., and are told he isn't doing anything illegal. Lather, rinse, repeat. People talk directly to him and he insists he isn't doing this. Yesterday he did it again, spying on a mom and her very young child in their backyard. The mother posted on Facebook calling it creepy because it is creepy. This time, someone tagged the wife's name in the post and asked her to tell her husband to stop it with the drone already. She responded, stating it wasn't him, he hadn't flown the drone in weeks. OP attached a video that clearly showed the drone landing in the creeper's yard. And at this point, the correct thing would have been to apologize and maybe speak with her creeper husband. But since this is an entitled group, that isn't what happened. Instead, she corrected herself to state that he flew the drone in their yard only to do something with the battery. Someone else pointed out that the video clearly showed the drone crossing the street before landing, so that was a lie. Creeper's wife says he doesn't like to have to drive to a park to fly the drone. Someone else jumps in and reminds her that it's not about the drone, it's about him using it to look into people's windows and spy on them in their yards. Creeper's wife again states it's a hard hobby to have. And this is where it gets good. Everyone realizes that this couple owns a business in town, and in vague terms state that they'll be traveling out of town to get X from now on instead of using the company right in town. Guess when you own a business that depends on people coming in for your produce, you might want to rethink being a creeper with the drone. You can't sign yourself out unless you're 18. I'm the teacher. I'm a 23-year-old male. I graduated last year after student teaching. I am on the shorter side, around 5'7" and about average weight, and I usually have my hair in more of a Gen Z or young person style, as I've been told. I student taught at a high school for 7 weeks, and every day I sign in and sign out at the office in front of the same office worker every time. One day we were free to leave earlier than usual. I go to the sign out in the substitute teacher binder and I'm asked, "Where do you think you're going?" "I'm signing out, ma'am." "No, you can't just sign yourself out unless you're 18 and prove it to me. What's your name?" "Ma'am, I'm a student teacher. I'm in college." "Oh, well, I've never seen you. How am I supposed to know that?" I had been student teaching for weeks and coming to the school all 4 years in college for observations. A little extra. I once went to a middle school for observations, and on my first visit, dressed in a polo with khakis and dress shoes, I asked the front office people to speak with the principal, as that was protocol for us before being placed in a class to observe, and I was told I'm not going anywhere until I give them my late slip or doctor's excuse for coming in late. 23 years old and had to verify that I am in fact 23 and not in middle school. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit stories. So take care, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.